So today we have an interesting video to talk about, and no, it's not about the new Nintendo Direct rumors that are flying around out there. Evidently, there's supposed to be something happening this week. People are saying it's a Direct. If anything does happen this week, it's an Indie World. Why would they call an Indie World a Direct? Because nobody cares to click on a video talking about leaking an Indie World presentation. It simply is what it is. I've said Nintendo Direct Indie Worlds before on the channel. I'm just trying to make sure you guys are keeping your expectations in line. If something does happen this week, it's probably going to be an Indie World. But instead, we're going to be talking about Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards, because a new survey is out there and people are hitting the streets. They're sharing it on social media saying, yeah, it's time to fight the power, and we're going to show Nintendo that we hate game key cards and we're going to make a difference. And I obviously have some things to say about this. Now, there is a survey that you can fill out. I will link it in the description box down below. But what's interesting about this survey is when I clicked it, I don't know if it automatically put me under my account or not, but this is the first thing that popped up. Usually when there's a survey for something, I have to, verify my Nintendo account or something like that. Now, this is an official Nintendo Switch related or a Nintendo related survey, so keep that in mind. But let's go through this and then I'll share my thoughts at the end of this video. Which of the devices are in my house? All of these. Well, technically I sold my PS4 and my Xbox One, but I do have that. I do have a 360. Yes. Do I have a Wii? I don't think I have a Wii anymore. I do have a Wii U. I do have a Steam Deck. In the past year, how many Nintendo Switch? Okay, come on, pal. We've bought a lot here. Have I purchased to give gifts? Gifts? What am I, Kringle? What am I, Kringle over here? I'm not giving out. I don't know. I might have bought my my cousin's kid a Switch game. So we'll say 1 to 2, but there's no Kringle over here. How many games have I resold after playing? In the past year, I haven't resold anything. So we'll be honest. In general, when it comes to games for a Nintendo Switch system, what do you prefer, purchasing games in physical or digital format? I would say I somewhat prefer physical. Honestly, I've been buying a lot of digital stuff because you can unlock it earlier than you can a physical edition. And for me personally, that works out a lot better. Now, if it's a game that I really like, I might want to get a physical version of that game down the road, pick up a used copy of it. I'm going to say neutral, actually. I'm going to say neutral because, although it is nice to have the physical stuff, I like the convenience of digital and I like the slightly earlier access. Now, obviously, your mileage is going to vary on that. If you're not someone who's reviewing games like I am or something, you could wait a couple additional hours. But when you're in my sphere, it's better to have it earlier than it is later. So I'll say neutral. Like, at the end of the day, if you're giving me a physical and a digital and I could buy them at the same time and get access to it at the same time, I would prefer physical. However, that's not really how it works. For which of the following reasons would you consider purchasing physical versions of Switch games? Please select up to 3. There are certain Nintendo franchises that I tend to want to own physical versions of. Yeah, I guess so. Physical games provide a stronger sense of ownership, clearly. I can sell physical games when I'm finished playing them. I'm like, that's cool, but, it's not something I do. I like collecting physical games. I mean, I used to, but now I don't. Because honestly, I have lost a lot of Switch 1 games. They are in a case somewhere in my house. These games include Breath of the Wild. These games include Super Mario Odyssey. And I had to repurchase Super Mario Odyssey. Thankfully, I purchased it off of Whatnot, where I had some credit. Use my link in the description box down below to get free money to spend on Whatnot, by the way. Because when you spend money, they give me like $10 or something. And then I was able to buy Super Mario Odyssey. I'm often able to find good discounts and sales for physical games. Yeah, it's easier to gift. I don't care. I find it easier to share physical games in my household. I don't care. I like the collectible stuff. I do like the collectible stuff. I'm able to find used copies of physical games at lower prices. Now, that is very true. So I'm going to go with those 5. I think that's pretty indicative. No more than 3. Okay, so you don't want truth, then whatever. How is you know, like used copies and good discounts and physical sales, like those, that might as well be together. Well, we'll just say those three. Of the reasons you selected, what is the one biggest reason that you prefer physical games? Probably ownership. You have mentioned that there are certain Nintendo franchises. Oh god, this is a long thing. I like Metroid games. Like a mainline Mario. Mainline Mario. Okay, there's a mainline Mario. Zelda, I guess. You know, where's Zelda? Is there Zelda? Okay, I would say those. For which of the following reasons would you consider purchasing digital games? I find it easier. I don't need to visit a store. I don't have to worry about, only up to 3. Okay, we'll say these 3. It's easier to quickly access digital games. Truth, you don't have to do anything additional. You don't have to find the cartridge or anything like that. I don't need to visit a store or wait for the game to be shipped. I don't want to have to worry about losing a game cartridge. Of the reasons, what's the biggest one? I mean, for me personally, it's the whole shipping thing. Over time, has your openness to purchasing digital games changed? Yes, I've become more open. You mentioned earlier that you own a PlayStation or an Xbox. What would you say that you are more likely to purchase digital games on these systems than a Nintendo Switch? I'd say neither. Like, it just depends. Like, obviously, I'm going to review a Switch 2 version of a game over an Xbox version of the game because I understand where my audience is. Imagine yourself purchasing a new Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 game for yourself. The following options describe various methods by which you might purchase that game. For each method, please indicate how likely you would be to purchase. Physical cartridge. The full game is included on the cartridge, which must be inserted into the game console to play. Probably. Physical requiring digital download. Might or might not. Digital download. Probably. Physical with a digital code in a box, probably not. Digital at online retailer, probably not. Digital purchase at a retail store in person, definitely not. That's just kind of pointless to me. You noted that if buying a game for yourself, you would definitely not buy a digital in person at a retail store. Okay. Let me grab the keyboard for this, because that shit is dumb, bro. Just buy it on the eShop. What is the point of that? You mentioned earlier that you gifted a game. No, we're not gifting digital. I'm not gifting digital anything, especially not to a kid. Like, you got to remember, my cousin's son is very young, and she's somewhat knowledgeable and stuff, and I could walk her through it if it required a download, but I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to be able to give the gift and be like, yo, here you go, little youngin', enjoy your game, pop it into your Switch, and then, you know, you are good to go. So no, we're not doing any of this digital stuff because it's dumb, and the person I am buying it for is a kid who cannot figure that out quite yet. Was that the right spelling of quite? Yeah, it is. Before today, were you aware that expanding the storage requires a new medium? God, Nintendo they are in an interesting position. I literally have 4 or more. How many individuals? 1. Do I have? Yes. I have all of these stupid things. We're preferring not to answer, but it's under 30,000 because, I mean, I'm a YouTuber. I'm clearly broke. Are you a parent? God, I hope not. Yeah, I enjoy all these things. Come on, man. But, like, obviously this is about, you know, this is about talking about game key cards, and this is a way for you to express your disdain for game key cards. And many people think that this is going to make a big difference. We're going to stick it to Nintendo. We're going to show them that, hey, we're tired of these game key cards. We're going to make our voice heard. Here's the problem with that mentality. You see, you knew there was going to be a catch to this. You knew I wasn't just going to do the survey and then leave you guys high and dry. The problem is Nintendo does not do codes in a box. Nintendo does not do game key cards. This is a Nintendo survey. You would need a Square Enix, a Capcom, a Ubisoft, a 2K survey to talk about game key cards to the point of where it would make a bit of a difference. Nintendo's not going to do game key cards. Nintendo's not going to do codes in a box. They put everything on the cartridge because it's their proprietary cartridge. A third-party company has to pay money to put the game on the cartridge because they have to buy the cartridge, which costs more than a Blu-ray. And I know people like to argue online, well, we don't really know how much a cartridge is versus a Blu-ray. Spoiler alert. Let's say we don't really know, even though we had the NIS America leak where it clearly stated how much they were having to spend on an individual cartridge to put the game on a cartridge. There is a valid reason for it because a proprietary cartridge is going to cost more than a Blu-ray medium, which has been around for well over a decade, has been used across multiple devices as well, also offers more storage, and more companies can have access to Blu-rays. Like, it's as simple as that. That's the problem with this survey. You're talking to the company, you're telling the company that doesn't do game key cards, I don't want game key cards. No shit, they know that. They know that. It is just an option. So the onus really falls upon the third-party companies. Now, I'm not saying I blame third-party companies for using game key cards, although there are instances like Borderlands 4 is 40 gigs. That should be on a cartridge, you know. But when you're talking about games that are much smaller or much larger than 64 gigabytes, you're not offering different alternatives to these companies to allow them access to these sorts of things. And that's where the problem lies. We literally are just saying what Nintendo probably already knows to Nintendo, hoping and thinking that it's going to make a difference. Spoiler alert, it's probably not. It's probably, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if I got to be the bad guy and give you guys a dose of reality, that's the reality of the situation. If not game key cards, it's just going to be digital. Third-party companies are not going to spend extra money to buy these cartridges. There's a reason why they're not doing it. There's a reason why, because like right now, Microsoft doesn't even put their first-party games, their Xbox games, on a Blu-ray because they know nobody's buying them. Most of the people are using Game Pass. Like, it's simple business, man. It's simple business, and I don't know. I just personally don't see anything changing. I think this is what it is, and the sooner you kind of accept it to a degree, the sooner you can, realize, hey, I want to buy a game digitally, or I want to buy a game key card so that I can sell that game key card in the future if need be, or I want to buy a physical version of the game, or I want to play on another platform. You know, that's always an option too. But yeah, I think this is getting blown out of proportion quite a bit. I don't think Furukawa is sitting there sweating. Oh my God, we've got to do something. I don't think they care, but maybe you care. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, I will link this survey in the description box down below so you can fill it out and you can feel like you're making an impact in the world of video games. And as always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.